are we doing here for today's lesson? Are we firstly clearing up what the motion wants here on the side, and how we're going on how development is okay but not under the extent we can harm ourselves. And lastly, I'll be emphasizing on the point of threat and how it could torture us in the future. So, right now, Matt, he'll tell you that this motion should stand simply because he believes that it could harm the future generation. So, for the definition, right? So, we tell you that science is a development of a particular sector where in certain cases, like right now, what nation is going through is modernization. So, we're saying that science in this particular context is when a country wants to move forward and modernize themselves, being the 21st century, whatever. So, and then we tell you that threat to humanity means that it could risk the lives of how we are living now and how it is already. That's it, right, Matt? So, let's go on to our case study for today. So, as we can see, that everybody is chasing for development. Everybody wants to be the most developed country. We're not saying that it's bad now. We tell you it's good to have a developed country, to have many other technologies put in place to understand more about other sectors. But we tell you that, but to a certain extent, where that development could actually harm yourself and the environment that you have right now, we tell you that is really bad. So what we're saying right now, we don't want you to stop as a whole, but we're saying that you should slow down, take it slow, modernize. Yes, you can still modernize, but not until the extent and not till, like I said before, harm yourself, right? So let's take on an example of how this had already happened. Let's see in Japan, right, where they have a really big nuclear plant and how it is one of the most modernized nuclear plants in the world. Right? So what happens now? When Japan was hit by a quake, how many minutes? When Japan has been hit by a quake, what happens now? Everybody's going chaos and going and thinking like, you know what? Maybe that's going to be hugely destroy the whole humanity of the world. So we tell you that because of this, because of development of science in this particular things, we tell you it might and it could destroy your humanity. And because of that, we don't want to take the risk and we don't want to risk our humanity. So, let's go on to the whole idea of threat, right? Long years before, when the Nazis were really active, we tell you that there was a concentration camp in Germany. And what do they do? What do they do there, right? So what they do is actually they figure out and they make new weapons, new gases, just to figure out how to kill and torture people. So although it was back then, we tell you it is still a development of technology. So how does that imply in today's world and right now? Let's see in Iraq, when most of the civilians were getting killed. Why? Because it maybe Israelis think that they have something to do with Al-Qaeda or whatever, but that doesn't matter. The point is, because when they get killed, they're not just getting shot by one bullet. Right now, what the Israelis are doing to the civilians of Iraq is that they're killing them through biological weapons. And I can tell you now, biological weapons is not just like some other piece of gun or whatever. It kills you from inside. Meaning to say that when you get shot, you don't die that instant. You'll be tortured by that particular biological thing that was injected into your body. And by that, all your biological sense things will be mutated and so on, and you will die slowly, suffering that. So we tell you, because of this, because of science, there's a medium for you to harm other people, and especially torture people in this sense. So, what I've been telling you for the past 4 minutes is very simple. I've told you on how we're not saying that development is wrong. We're just saying that you should slow down, take it slow, and still develop, but not to the extent of you destroying your whole humanity. And I also told you that how the quake in Japan actually harm the life of people all over the world, and how the nuclear could really harm us as well. And I told you how that in Iraq, that the Israelis are taking this chance on science development to with that now, pretending we honestly do.
Kalau aku cakap because it being used in sometimes macam euthanasia. Salah. Saya rekod ni. Janganlah. Takut.
Bacteria can make our food taste bad, and we wouldn't know that things around us is useful. Without science, as you can see, we apply science in our daily life. So without science, we cannot really survive, even though it attracts humans. And I don't think it is I don't think it should be slowed down if it doesn't really help the community, because, like I said, it makes our life easier. And now I'm different like this time. I forgot the side. Without my first point. Let's read what's happened for this week. Government came up and told us. Okay, cool. So Mr. Speaker says, second speaker for today's debate, I'm going to be doing two things. Number one is the rebuttal, and which I've got two of them. And number two, I'm going to be laying out my second and third argument. And number three, I'm going to be summarizing what I've been saying for today's debate. But before that, let's look at what the debate wants for the debate. The debate and the motion for this debate wants us to argue that the modernization and development of the world is likely to harm and is more than helpless. Something that our government has made clear for today's debate, something that opposition didn't really attack on for today's debate. And Mr. Speaker said, now let me tell you why they failed to do that. Because of what? We emphasize on our example here, meaning the Fukushima radiation plant. They told us that, because it's an earthquake, it happened because it was a natural disaster, and therefore, the leak wasn't really due to science. We tell you, Mr. Speaker, sir, that science is the medium for it to happen. With the idea of science, with science, without science, and without the idea of the radiation leak or the power plant, second point, Mr. Speaker, sir, second rebuttal is the idea that, she said that we apply science in our daily lives, and without it, we die. Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, we tell you that on this debate, we're emphasizing on development and modernization. We don't tell you that science is bad. We tell you that if you want to develop yourself a bit more, then go ahead. But when it comes to the point of when it affects other people, when it comes to the point that it could be a threat to a lot of other people, we tell you that that's wrong. And that's why our debate really starts. We tell you, Mr. Speaker, sir, that science is something that we really do need in life. But then again, science when it creates a medium for us to hurt ourselves, it creates a medium for us to again deter what's happening in the natural world. We tell you that that's when it should be stopped and where it should be wanted. And Mr. Speaker, so moving on to my second argument, which is spoiling the natural world or pollution. Now here's where the tree hugger side of government comes out. Mr. Speaker, sir, we think that there's nothing wrong. We think that there's nothing wrong with the idea of development, the idea of creating new things. But we think when you create technology, when you create modernization, when you create Justin Bieber, things that destroy the natural world, we think that that's when this should be stopped. We think that that's when you should, we think that that's when humanity is at threat. And that's something we do not want in our lives. Why? Because when humanity is at threat, then indirectly you're at threat, and then something will be dying off are you. We think that when it comes to the idea of exploiting our natural resources, when it comes to the idea of limits future rights that we might have as a future generation due to the technology that we might have now, we say that that's when it shouldn't be implemented. We say, Mr. Speaker, sir, that with the idea of technology and with the idea of science, as well as developing science as a whole, regardless in any area where it could create possible harm to society, is when we intervene as government side. We tell you that no, it shouldn't happen. Again, Mr. Speaker, sir, we take into account of what happened in Japan. Here again, the idea of nukes as well as scientific nukes. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, as well as global warming and stuff like that. Again, none of this would have happened without the idea, without us pursuing further into science, further into the development of science, and further into creating a better world where our future resources are a bit limited. Now, again, moving on to my second argument would be it kills physical socialization. Now, we tell you, Mr. Speaker, sir, that in the 21st century, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube rules the world. Video games rule the world. We tell you that this, again, that the idea of science implemented here hurts society. Why? We say that it creates a more timid and more awkward environment when you meet someone physically. We tell you that when you socialize on Facebook, it's not necessarily the same as you socializing with a real person. Being able to walk the walk in Facebook doesn't mean that you can actually talk the talk in real life. We tell you, Mr. Speaker, sir, another thing that happens is it distracts the child from being conducive and conversive in a physical environment. It distracts us. Why? Because we look into video games as an example. Here I'm going to take San Andreas and first-hand shooting games. Games that Black Ops, games that promote violence, games that kids, again at our age, kids at 6 play. We tell you, Mr. Speaker, that when that happens, it creates a medium for crime to happen. Why? Because when these kids do not interact in real life, when these kids are not exposed and are mostly in their rooms shooting people and prostitutes and all that kind of things, we tell you that, in real life, tendencies and curiosity to happen would be there. And that doesn't really help society. In fact, it hurts it. Another thing that we like to argue, Mr. Speaker, is that when kids do not go out, they don't know what happens in real life. They don't know what happens outside. And here's where the threat of crime in the idea of kidnapping comes in. Why? Because when you're locked up inside with Facebook and everything, you tend to socialize a lot. You tend to go out and make new friends, people you don't know because they randomly add you on Facebook. Now, we tell you that in real life, because you think that it's okay for you to talk to strangers and add them as friends on Facebook, tendencies for you to actually interact with strangers in real life happens. And when you do that, especially for kids that are a little bit less younger than us, that crimes like maybe kidnapping do happen because you don't know where to limit themselves there. We tell you, Mr. Speaker, so that even though that is the role of the parent, we tell you that regardless, socialization happens to the kids. So what have I told you for today's debate, Mr. Speaker? So I told you that, well, roughly again, science is a bigger threat to humanity and it doesn't help us. So side opposition, 2/3 for the
Stop semua. Stop sekejap dulu.
Dah sah?
Dah. Dulu lagi.